When AI agents research and evaluate products on behalf of humans, your website's human traffic becomes secondary to your visibility in generative answers. If an LLM cannot verify your data or find your citations, your brand effectively disappears from the buying cycle. But when you start looking for software to manage this, you immediately hit a wall. Every tool claims to do GEO, leaving you to sort through platforms that sound identical but operate completely differently. Today, we are looking at two of the most prominent platforms in this space, GEOforge and Scrunch. If you read their marketing pages side by side, you would think they are locked in a feature war, fighting to dominate the exact same workflow for your team. That is an illusion. Despite sharing the same acronym, these two platforms are designed to solve entirely different operational bottlenecks. Scrunch is built primarily as a diagnostic layer. It maps exactly where your brand appears across multiple AI platforms, wrapped in deep enterprise-grade security compliance. The assumption Scrunch makes is that your team already has the bandwidth and the expertise to produce the content needed to fix the gaps it finds. GeoForge operates as a full execution engine. It handles monitoring, but its core function is actively creating the content and building the citation networks. GeoForge is built for teams that already know they have a visibility gap, but lack the bandwidth to turn proprietary knowledge, like call recordings and white papers, into the grounded articles that LLMs require for citations. Choosing between these two is not about running a feature checklist. It is an exercise in diagnosing whether your internal team lacks data visibility or if they lack the bandwidth to do the actual work. Let's look closely at the first major trade-off: relying on active execution versus broad diagnostic measurement. This horizontal scale illustrates GeoForge's core requirement. Through a feature called BaseForge, you must feed the platform your raw, proprietary knowledge, things like SME interviews, sales call transcripts, and internal documents. Using that data, it creates a closed-loop system. The platform actively writes unlimited, grounded content and can publish it directly to your CMS, like WordPress or Webflow. The trade-off here is control. You are handing over your entire content production pipeline to a third-party AI engine. Buying that kind of execution privilege requires a financial premium. GeoForge starts at $1,250 a month. This radar chart demonstrates how Scrunch takes the opposite approach. Its core input is purely observational, tracking your brand's presence across a wide array of AI search engines. This monitoring covers 9 different platforms, including search-heavy engines like ChatGPT and Gemini, alongside harder-to-track models like Grok, Meta AI, and Microsoft Copilot. The outcome is a highly detailed enterprise-wide map showing exactly where and how AI bots are referencing your products. But here is the massive trade-off. Scrunch provides 0 execution tools to fix the gaps it uncovers. General AI content generation is strictly a roadmap item for 2026. That means your internal team must physically write the articles, optimize the pages, and build the relationships required to alter those search results. GeoForge handles that heavy lifting for you, but at the cost of a much narrower focus, primarily benchmarking against just ChatGPT and Google AI. Ultimately, you are making a structural choice. You are either buying a highly accurate map to navigate the landscape yourself, or you are hiring an engine to drive you there. We see another sharp divide when we look at how these platforms handle technical delivery. You have to weigh edge layer optimization against active citation building. This server architecture map shows what Scrunch calls the Agent Experience Platform, or AXP. It intercepts AI bots at the edge layer and serves them highly condensed, token-light HTML pages. This ensures that AI agents can quickly consume your site's data without you having to disrupt the design of your human-facing pages. However, implementing AXP requires significant engineering buy-in from your IT department. Right now, it sits strictly behind a waitlist in a limited pilot phase. Looking at this hub-and-spoke visualization, we see GeoForge bypasses edge layer delivery entirely. Instead, it uses a system called SiteForge to physically build external citation networks. By managing strategic outreach and placing your references on other authoritative sites, it directly increases the trust LLMs have in your brand. The downside to SiteForge's approach is its concentration. Because it focuses heavily on ChatGPT and Google AI overviews, you risk creating blind spots in secondary search engines. This technical divide extends directly into how both tools handle pricing predictability versus enterprise compliance. Scrunch offers a low initial barrier to entry, starting at $250 a month, and it secures your data with strict SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. But that low starting price is deceptive. As you add user seats and require the enterprise compliance features that make Scrunch valuable, those costs rapidly escalate well past $1,200 a month. And even at that highest enterprise tier, you are still paying for a platform that lacks a native content generator. It comes down to practical reality. Cheap compliance is useless if your team lacks the bandwidth to execute the recommendations. At the same time, powerful execution is useless if your IT department blocks the software for lacking SOC 2 certification. This branching flowchart is a framework for your final decision, starting with your exact primary geo roadblock. First, if your team possesses raw proprietary data but lacks the personnel to write and publish AI-ready content, then GeoForge is the practical choice to physically alter AI search answers without needing additional headcount. On the other hand, if you already have a capable content team but are flying blind on where you rank across the technical LLM landscape, and you must adhere to strict enterprise compliance mandates like SSO and SOC 2, then Scrunch is the correct fit. It delivers the diagnostic scale you need while checking every box demanded by stringent IT departments. The biggest risk in this evaluation is paying a premium to solve a bottleneck your team does not actually have. This is a structural workflow choice. You're separating those who need a machine to do the heavy lifting from those who just need the raw data to direct their own team. We also need to acknowledge the uncomfortable truth about building an AI strategy entirely on derivative software insights. If you rely purely on these platforms, you are optimizing for a static snapshot of an algorithm that will likely change next week. Neither tool can magically save a weak product, and neither can force a language model to cite unoriginal content over a primary source. You also cannot afford to rely on vendor roadmaps. Scrunch has content generation slated for 2026, but waiting an entire year in the AI space means sitting out a full generation of development. Do not start your evaluation with the software. Evaluate your internal team capacity first. Find your immediate, verifiable constraint and choose the platform built specifically